whatever the arbitrary track time number is now.
Yeah, I'm getting like gunk in my throat before I'm gonna talk for the next god knows how long. That's awesome. All right. Put a pause on that. Hello. Hi. Welcome. The stream is now no longer starting shortly. It's just starting. Check that out. I'm like a fucking magician. Yes, hi, hello. It's me. It's me, the guy that occasionally shows up on this platform on occasion to do nothing useful, but instead just talk about himself like a narcissist. Yeah, I'm here to talk about my new album. My new album, Gadgets and Doodads, that I'm quite fond of and had a lot to say, so here I am doing the commentary stream thing again. When's the last time we did this one? It was for fucking View from the Valley all those years ago. Fucked up to think about that, huh? Was it 4 years ago now? Fucked up. I don't like the fact that time is moving around me. All right, we're just gonna get right the fuck into it, shall we? So where did all this begin? Why did I make an album? It kind of just started. It started when I began work on one of the tracks. Track 2, They Warned Me. That's a re-recording, which I'll talk about when I get to it. But I had fun making it. I always just really liked that song and just kind of was like, yeah, well, I'm not really planning a big project at the moment. But maybe I will if I just keep making stuff. And so one thing led to another, and I just kind of wrote more songs, and I just kind of said, all right, well, I will eventually hit like 30 minutes or whatever the arbitrary track time number is now. And here we are. There's an album. This is a very like art for art's sake kind of thing. I wish I had some kind of like point to make like I did with View from the Valley. But no, this was just, spur of the moment, right from the heart. Made some music. Oh yeah, I guess I should explain the title. Why is it called Gadgets and Doodads? Because I thought it was a fun title. Again, like this is not a project that I would say has like insanely deep meaning behind it, And you don't need that all the time, if you ask me. I'm a big fan of just art for art's sake. So the idea of just, the simplicity of like, I'm going to call this, gizmos and whatever because it's fun, not for any other particular reason. I find that fun. I find that earnest. But yeah, I made this all by myself, mixing, mastering, guitars, drums, all of it. Even the artwork, which is unusual for me. Excuse me. Take a drink. So normally I do what's called glitch art, which is like a kind of experimental photography kind of thing. Do some like weird data moshes of art and photos and stuff. That's kind of been like the consistent like visual theme that I've had before in the past. But one of my good friends, my good friend Dakota, good friend Phantom Head, currently in the chat, suggested, hey, why not use this art piece that you showed me before? And when he said that, I didn't do that right away. I didn't make that decision right there. But I thought about it some more, and I just kind of went, oh, you know what? I have been doing this more like kind of surrealist like painting stuff lately. That would be like a fun change up, is to do some more stuff like this, because again, it's another thing that I just enjoy doing. So it was a toss up between this and another piece, which if you go look at my header on Bsky, that's a piece that I made called Swarm that I really like. I thought it was just visually really colorful and really like, I don't know, abstract. I thought it would have fit, but I don't know. It was just a matter of like making playlists with the demos basically, and then changing like the playlist icon to the art piece and just kind of looking at it and feeling it, Excuse me. I can't be gross for the entire stream, but here I am. Here I am being gross. All right. All right. Let's get on with the first song, shall we? The reason why anyone would be here is to listen to the music and not to me. The opening title track is called the title track, Gadgets and Doodads. I know what I said. Anyways, before this really had a title, it really just kind of had a feeling. I wanted something kind of just simple, something kind of tight, this like kind of fun, fast, quick punk opener. A lot of my favorite bands like Blink 182, Off with Their Heads, No Effects, kind of do something like that, where it's just short, tight, to the point, a couple chords, speeding along. I don't know. That's kind of just what I wanted and what I came up with. The more I listened to this one, the more I kind of realized I really, really liked it, and I think it might actually be my favorite song on the album. I think I'm not really sure why. It's just I think it's just because I made it and then I kind of just kept working on it and kept iterating on it, and I kind of just liked that process of putting it all together and then just kind of making it a little bit better each time. I don't usually do a whole lot of like big changes when I mix and master. I usually have a pretty solid idea of like, it should kind of sound like this. And mixing and mastering is like, not even an exact science anyway. So I kind of just learned to live with like the good and the bad of how my mixes eventually sound. But every time I made a demo of this one, I found something new that I wanted to change with it. And that wasn't like upsetting to me. That was like, oh, I found something new that I can change and make it better. Until finally one day I didn't have that anymore, and I was like, oh, I don't know. I just feel very creatively satisfied by it. But yeah, I think the other reason I really like it is because, like I mentioned, Blink 182, No Effects, all those pop punk bands have a real kind of what's the word? Have a real kind of like organic chemistry to them. It's something that I really like about the sound in general. And because I do everything myself, I often stress out over not being able to do that myself. Like playing with yourself in time with a metronome is a different feeling than, having a friend write up a click track or something. You know what I mean? But the more I kept adding to it, the more I kept like putting these pieces together, I kind of just felt like, oh, this like that like organic like punk chemistry is kind of coming through, I think. But yeah, so again, I just feel satisfied over everything I got to do on this track. So yeah. Oh, I should probably mention that intro went through a bunch of different iterations. I playing yourself in time with the metronome. Don't worry about it. That intro went through a bunch of different iterations, and I don't know. Everyone just kind of felt stupider than the last. I didn't want the track to just kind of start. I wanted like something to kind of introduce it and bring something else to the table, I guess. I'm always looking for like new weird editing tricks and stuff to kind of just make things sound more interesting. And what I eventually settled on is what you're about to hear, which is made with a slide tube and then a bunch of delay and effects. And I did what's called nubbing, which is a technique invented by Buckethead, where it's gonna be hard to explain, but if you picture yourself with uh, let's see, like assign each finger on your right hand to a different string on the guitar and then just kind of drum your fingers up and down. That's kind of what nubbing is. You'd have to see him do it. It's very strange. But I kind of just wanted this like failing computer sound effect, and that's what he does to do that, to make that effect. So I gave it a try myself just by playing some random notes with some guitar tube and a slide. Yeah. So yeah, I think that intro is very colorful. I think the song's very fun. So why not listen to it, shall we? Here is the first song, Gadgets and Doodads. Yeah, isn't that great? Good old, good old gadgets and doodads. All right, next song. Ba-bam. Oh man, this title. They warned me never to wish upon a star. Not gonna lie, I look back on this title and I'm just like, what the hell was I doing? What is this emo stuff that I was going through? This is like stuff that would be on like a Brave Little Abacus song or something. Ugh. But I always really liked the song itself. Uh, it's a re-recording of a song from one of my actual first project, Toy Box, which don't listen to. It kind of sucks. But despite it kind of sucking, I always thought that some of the songs had potential, and I always really wanted to re-record the whole thing. I'm not really sure why. As I've gotten older, the more I'm like, nah, you don't need to go back and re-record the entire thing. If art that's flawed can stay flawed, it is what it is. I had what I had at the time. It is what it is. I learned to live with that. But I always wanted to bring some of those songs back, and this was one of them. And the reason for that is I always just really liked how laid back it sounds. Like the sounds that I was playing with at the time, or the sound that I was going for, I guess, is something from like Nevermind era of Nirvana, some Weezer, like The Pillows. Excuse me. Kind of that like laid back, like loud guitar, power pop kind of sound. I don't know. It's so fun to play, and I find it just enjoyable to listen to, and just yeah, I couldn't get it out of my mind, so I re-recorded it and ended up being like one of the lead songs on this album. Short, sweet. Here it is. They warned me never to wish upon a star. Yeah, not to toot my own horn, but yeah, I just really like how that sounds. Those big fat chords just gliding around the riffs. It's a fun song to play, and if it's fun to play, it's fun to hear. All right, next one. Bam, good old Bad Go. So the full title that you'll see on Bandcamp is Bad Go, parentheses, a terrible experience with incredibly dangerous drugs. Um, the original title was just Bad Go, which is a reference to like a bad trip. Like when I made the song, it has a very specific like drug influence. So I was looking up titles, or I was looking up phrases to synonyms for bad trip is what I was looking for, and I didn't want to just call it bad trip because that would be boring. And I like stumbled across like some manual for cops as to like, oh, this is stuff to look out for druggies using these words. And I somehow came up with the phrase "bad go." Somehow it was in there, and I was like, oh, "bad go." That just hits the ear right. But the I added this extra subtitle because I didn't want to let this go to waste. I wrote this down ages ago, and I wanted to use it in a song somewhere, but I kind of couldn't really come up with either a new song or find some place to fit it in organically. So I said, "Fuck it, it's a re-recording. It might as well be a new track. I'm going to add the subtitle." The subtitle, people who might know, is a reference to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It's the title of one of the chapters. A terrible experience with extremely dangerous drugs. Excuse me. I love Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and I think Hunter S. Thompson is a psychopath, but also a fucking genius. I could sit here and talk about him for hours, but he's a very interesting individual, and Fear and Loathing has had a massive impact on the way I see art and the way I see drugs and the way I see lots of things lately. So I felt like it was a good opportunity to kind of just pay homage to one of my favorite pieces of media with this new track. But yeah, the actual original song, way back when, came from a lot of different places. And I still remember all of them, which is weird. I'm not sure why I specifically remember them so much. But the actual like structure was heavily influenced by the song "Milk It" by Nirvana. I really, really liked how the way that song plays out. There's these like kind of clunky sounding like noise rock chords, and then these big, fat, loud like sludge metal riffs that just kind of just I don't know what to call that like rhythm. It's so uncanny. I always really liked the juxtaposition between those two. And so the original idea way back when was I was going to do something more like freeform like that, where I was going to do maybe some spoken word and like just kind of fuck around on my guitar for a little bit before like the big loud fat da 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 kicks in. Because what I was trying to do was I was kind of trying to use that song structure as a jumping off point for what I wanted to get across, which was the kind of feeling of like kind of like dreamy, surrealist, like the psychedelia of having a drug trip, followed by like a manic episode. That kind of juxtaposition between like the highs and lows of being on drugs was what I wanted to get across. But yeah, my approach though obviously ended up sounding a lot more like psychedelic, and the reason for that was because I was getting into classic psych rock bands, shit like Jefferson Airplane, that made me go, oh, I really want to try this guitar sound myself. So trying to come up with riffs like that, it's hard, especially like playing slow and like atmospheric, something I kind of struggle with. But I don't know. A big reason why it didn't come out so good at the time, though, was because I clearly did not understand things like reverb and echo and delay and guitar effects. So, oh yeah, I also remember listening to a bunch of. I'm going to shout out the band that I'm probably going to butcher their name. Sorry, Kikagaku Moyo. I'm probably saying that wrong. They're a Japanese psych rock band that I definitely remember listening to at the time. They were a big influence on this song. So that's like the first two parts. That's like the first two thirds of the song, right? I'm gonna be 100% honest. I don't know where that ending comes from. I can only guess that it comes from Primus, because that was another band I was listening to at the time. I was just getting into Primus, but I don't know. At the time, one of the things I didn't like about the way that song played out was that I'm trying to say the second half, the finale, just sort of shows up and just kind of interrupts the song due to some really shitty editing on my part. But this time it comes in a lot more naturally, and I think because of the juxtaposition between the two like sound styles, the way the effects are. Excuse me. Crap. Sorry. Anyways, I think the juxtaposition between the way those two sound styles are, the way they kind of like crossfade into each other this time, sounds so much more natural. It sounds so much more interesting than just kind of cutting it right there and stopping and starting, right? Anyways, yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say about it. This is the second re-recorded track, Bad Go. Another fun song, another weird song, another my constant need to like find some new weird editing trick to make my songs more interesting. That like slow down at the end again, trying to replicate like what a fucking like drug crash might sound like. That I had to do that like 3 or 4 times this time because when I used to use Audacity, I could just like select a chunk and just like slow this down X amount of percent, and but with Reaper, it's a little more complicated. All right, moving on. Angel Face. Let's get this out of the way. Why the title? It's a reference to Fight Club. If you remember the movie Fight Club, the character that Edward Norton like beats the shit out of, that Jared Leto character, his character's name is Angel Face. Why the reference? Because I like Fight Club. I like Fight Club a lot. It's one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite books. Wanted to like homage one of my favorite pieces of media. I rewatched it a bunch while making this, but you know, originally. So this is where things get really fucking weird with these last two tracks. This song, the main riffs in it were originally part of the following track, Long Song. Back when Long Song was much longer, much weirder, and a lot more unfucking coordinated. Uh, yeah, I don't even know where to begin. Maybe I'll talk about that when I get to the Long Song, but yeah, it was this really long, unhinged piece that was just out of control and needed to be tuned down a bit. But born from the ashes of that song was Angel Face, which I don't know. I wanted something really weird and long, or not weird, weird and like kind of jangly sounding. The reason for this is because I was recently really influenced by a great noise rock band called Chat Pile, and the way they write their riffs is just fucking mind blowing to me because their songs are just so heavy and mean and slow, and they're so dissonant and so like they're more like dirges sometimes, closer to dirges than riffs. And I don't know, I was just kind of overcome one day with like, I want that sound. I want that like abrasive, ugly, jangly kind of chugging sound. And born from that was these awkward, clunky sounding riffs that you hear in Angel Face. With that kind of second part, the I guess you would call it a breakdown, but I'm not sure I would call it a breakdown. Uh, Again, being, excuse me, Christ, can't be gross on stream. I told myself that. That slower part, more influenced by again more sludge metal bands, especially like I Hate God and like Crowbar. I'm a big fan of sludge metal. I'd really like to write more like slow stuff someday, but again, writing slow stuff is kind of hard. But I always, I always struggle to make sure that my songs are actually like entertaining to listen to and actually like don't waste the audience's time. So every time I'm making something really slow, I'm always like, okay, did I hold this chord long enough, or was it too long? And now people are bored. And now it's like, how do you make something slow and engaging? I don't know. I tried. I tried on the song. You know, be the judge, I guess. This is also the start of two really nasty bugs that I had when doing some post processing on this. Um, I wonder if I can go. Maybe I won't because I got all my stream set up here. But there's an older version, an old demo of this track, where at about 2 minutes and 50 seconds into the track, one of the drum beats from my drum machine just would not export. So you would hear, you know, the tapping out the rhythm of ta 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 ta, like what? Like it would just disappear, and I couldn't figure out why. It was infuriating because this is like, you know, the weekend of I'm trying to export all the tracks so I can upload it to like Bandcamp and shit. And finally, I don't know how I ended up figuring this out, but I ended up going into Reaper and very gently taking one of the drum beats, like the kick drum or something, and on that beat rather, just pushing it forward like a quarter of a millisecond, so it wasn't like perfectly on the beat, and somehow that ended up fixing it. So I guess if you pay really close attention during the slow part, during the breakdown, you'll hear one of the kick drums is off by like a millisecond. I hope you'll forgive me because I was ready to fucking tear out my hair. What little I have left. But anyways, Angel Face. Let's go. Wasn't that a fun song? I forgot to mention a little piece of fun fact trivia. So there's that little space in the middle right before the finale comes in, and originally I was gonna fill that with something. I was gonna have a more like a really nasty sounding solo. Like I had some really like kind of like fucked up my guitar effects and just kind of made something really like ear scratching and just really noisy and nasty. And I wanted to add like a big old loud solo to it. Like I don't know. I was kind of thinking like Boris when I made that decision rather. I was like, Boris always has like insanely abrasive, just out there insane guitar tones, and I thought that like I don't know if I could like layer it in some creative way, it would sound more interesting. But the more I did it, the more I was just like, yeah, this creates a bunch of layers that I don't like and a bunch of like distortion that just kind of fills space. And the more I listened to that version, the one that you just heard, the more I just kind of realized, like, you know what? I like that pause. I like the break that it gives you, and I like the kind of like sudden like bah, like surprise and like kind of punch to the face that finale, or rather the punch to the face that makes the finale. You know what I mean? So yeah, mistakes and miracles, I guess. All right, moving on to the final song, the long song. Yeah. So, like the title says, it's a long song. It is a long ambient drone, whatever you want to call it, piece, with a little bit of like post rock and like ambient guitar mixed in. Yeah. What can I say about this? I really like making really long, really unhinged songs and placing them as like the finale track of my projects. I just kind of think it's fun. Like if I was listening to an album, I would like that kind of surprise. But yeah, I when I started making this, it was really long and it was really unhinged, and I really wanted it to make it longer and even more unhinged. Like I said, Angel Face was a part of it initially, but there was also like an atmospheric black metal bit. Like Angel Face's riffs were going to be more like free jazzy, or not the riffs, but the drums. I was planning to be more like improvisational and like yeah, like I said, free jazz, like out there, kind of just weird rhythms. And then we're gonna transition to like, oh God, I ripped the ending of an unreleased song off of that song, and then stuck it onto long song, thinking to myself, oh wait, this will be a perfect ending. But the more I did this, the longer I made long song, the worse it seemed to get. I started to really like the intro, the like at the time only like 10 or so minutes of this like ambient drone piece, and kind of just started to hate the rest of it, to the point where when I started like recording it and started like planning out like what else what the final version of that track would be, I just kind of threw my hands up and said, you know what, I don't like two-thirds of this. I'm gonna keep the third that I like and maybe recontextualize or replace the parts that I don't like. So eventually it turned into this more minimalist, more ambient drone piece that I think kind of just caps off the album nicely, I guess. But yeah, what's left? Long Song, the title was a placeholder title, and I mentioned before I want to make art for art's sake, and Long Song had a purpose at some point, and at some point, not that I forgot it, but that couldn't really I couldn't really come up with a title that could really describe what I wanted that song to really say to people. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I just kind of threw my hands up and said, if I can't think of one, then maybe it kind of doesn't deserve one. I will leave it as simply Long Song so that people can just kind of interpret what it's supposed to mean and what people want to get out of it, I guess. Whatever purpose, whatever song, or rather, whatever purpose the song might have had at some point, I guess it's to the wind now. It's out there. It's for the audience to decide. So before we begin, I want to mention the second production issue. For some reason, at about 14 minutes in on some of the old demos, the guitar effects just turned off, just stopped working. So all of the atmosphere, all of the buildup, all of the tension just gone away and replaced with plink, plonk, plink. from fucking my my completely naked guitar. That's another one that's gonna haunt me because oh boy, I wasn't gonna listen to that demo. I was just gonna be like, I won't need it. It's 21 minutes long. I don't need to listen to the whole thing. Listen to your demos, kids. Listen to them. You have to hear them. Okay. All right. Enough being a drama queen. Here it is. Here is Long Song. Settle in. That title is not a joke. Well, all right, everybody. Thanks for sticking around for a whole 21-minute long song. Well, here we are at the end of the stream, end of the album, end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. Something, something. Anywho, I don't know. I never know how to end these things. I never know what to say here. As usual, I feel this weird sense of like completion, but also just like, is what it is. That's what you do when you make art. You make art, and then it exists in the world, and now you just have to like deal with it existing next to you. You know. Anyways, thanks for showing up. Thanks for listening. This shit's free. It will always be free. Go listen to it on YouTube. If you want to download it on Bandcamp for free, I put codes everywhere. If you want to give me $0 for it, that's totally fine. I don't. I'm not a starving artist. I don't need money. Go check it out. Go find it. I should probably get a website or something so I can just like put up like the raw waves whenever I want. Cause I'm tired of fucking services trying to be anything more than like a hosting site to show off my shit. All right, whatever. Hey, what? Hey, listen. Don't tell me to wrap it up. All right, listen. This is my stream. I'll do it. You know what? Maybe I'll boot up some fucking games or something. I'll do whatever I want. That's rude. No need for that. All right, I better get out of here. I will see you all later. Goodbye. Have a good one. Take it easy.